over the weekend also, our friend Azury published an article, and I have cause to discuss it. And forgive me, viewers, I'll not be that long. So, and viewers, the reason why I'm concerned about these things is that this is the work that we all do. We are journalists, isn't it? Or we are news reporters. When people do things that make the profession look awkward, it's a concern for me because I've been doing this much longer than he's been doing it. And people have been doing it much longer than I have been doing it. And if you do these things and people say, oh, as for Ghanaian journalists, yeah, as for Ghanaian journalists, yeah. The guy is doing the productive work in America, and then he spews out an article accusing agencies of state of awarding a contract. And then the agency comes out and says, I have not awarded any contract. I mean, that's so bad for the image of the profession. At this time, over the last 10 years, when the profession is picking up, the image of the profession gradually is picking up. Once in a while, major mistakes are made. I discussed it here the other day. And then this is a senior journalist, well-respected. He spews out something. And then the people say that I have not awarded any contract. Then you come back to the basics. These are people who have been formally trained in journalism. Some of us were not formally trained in journalism. We learned it in a newsroom. These are people who have been to a journalism school and have been formally trained in journalism. And then he sits and writes an article without any shred of evidence about what he's writing about. That affects and denigrates the profession. It affects and denigrates the image of journalism. That's why people will say that journalists are A, B, C, D. That's why they will say that your journalists are used to, as for Ghanaian journalists, they respect British journalists, but they don't respect Ghanaian journalists because of these kinds of things. You've gone to journalism school. You're a high-profile journalist. You publish an article without knowing whether a contract has been awarded or not, that somebody told you. You see, somebody told me things. When I used to work at the BBC in 2001, they warned us, those days, Robin White, that look, when you are a journalist, big corporates who have something to hide, they really don't like you. So sometimes they get some of them to call you and say, hey, look, we have done this and this, we have a story. Be very careful about those things because when you publish it, they'll sue you in libel and then they shut you up. So be very careful about those things. Be very careful, Robin White said, about people telling you something. Even here in the studio, my producers will tell you, I will tell them that if I have not seen it, I don't want it on the touch screen. I have sent the documents to my producers. Have a work on this because I've not looked at it. It's one happened right now. Just the last 2 minutes here, it happened. Just as I was getting off the plane, I got a WhatsApp message. I think it was a broadcast from Mr. Manasseh Azury, the Deputy Electoral Commissioner. I think he broadcasted to all his WhatsApp. And it is a document about creating 25 new constituencies. So I saw it on the aircraft. And then I started going to Facebook to see whether there's reaction to it. And I saw people reacting to it. Then I couldn't open it. So I sent it out. They just came to tell me that they've been able to open Manasseh Azury's thing. Should they put it on? I said, no, I have to read it. If I have not seen it, it doesn't come here. As simple as that. I sent it to them. So even that, if I have not had a proper look at it, I don't put it out. You sit down there and you say, VRA have awarded a contract. And then you use all sorts of insulting and abusive words about the people who awarded a contract. You even call them foolish. And then it turns out that hours later, VRA says, we haven't awarded any contract. So you haven't seen a contract awarded by VRA to Zoomlion, but because of your hatred for Zoomlion, then you go ahead with the contract. Let's see what he said. All right. Manasseh Azury says as follows. The Volta River Authority has contracted Zoomlion to undertake fumigation of the areas affected by the disaster. I don't know the level of intelligence or foolishness that went into the VRA's decision, but I have enough evidence to prove that fumigation has become an avenue through which government officials connive with Zoomlion to loot state resources. And he says, check the comments. Okay, now look at this introductory paragraph. The VRA has. So you are a journalist. You are giving information to people. You are making an allegation. You don't even suggest that you are alleging. You don't suggest that the VRA is preparing to do so. You actually say that the VRA has. Why is he saying that? Because he heard it. He heard it from somewhere. And because he heard it from somewhere, and because he has a hatred for Zoomlion for whatever reason, I don't know. Zoomlion is far older than him. But he just hates the man for some reason. He was hoping, as he himself has told people, that when power changes, Zoomlion will go to jail. He is not the Supreme Court. He's not the High Court. He's not the Court of Appeal. He's not the one who determines how people go to jail. You see, these things we do in Ghana without understanding how it works. That somebody go to jail. That's what the Attorney General says, that it's not that I don't know that Galamsey exists. I have jailed Galamsey people. But what Frimpong Boateng brought, I cannot take it to court. Because the court is there to protect the citizens of Ghana. And the courts are in every country to protect the citizens of those countries. So the court says that if you bring somebody here for a criminal trial, you have to make sure that you have ticked the following boxes, A, B, C, D, E. If you don't tick those boxes, it is not to say that a person has done it or has not done it. It is to suggest that there's not enough evidence to take the person's freedom by putting him in prison through a prosecution. That's the position of the law. And by now, every journalist understands that. So he sits down and feels that they should have jailed Zoomlion because you have a problem with him, because you went to him and said all of us should leave the room and you and him alone. I'll say it again. Manasseh came to Zoomlion. He said I shouldn't be there. Coleman shouldn't be there. Only him wants to meet Zoomlion. Zoomlion said I won't meet you alone. That's where the problem started. The crassness of his journalistic work. That's where it started. So you sit down there and publish something. And Professor Kwame Kare, I'll mention his name again. It's a disappointment. Professor Kwame Kare, it's a disappointment to support journalism work like that. Professor Kwame Kare, you were at the University of Ghana when P.A.V. Ansan was there. Is that what P.A.V. Ansan taught us? That we should publish something that we don't know where it's coming from, we just publish? You come and say that VRA has contracted Zoomlion to undertake fumigation of the areas affected by the disaster. I don't know the level of intelligence or foolishness. That's just disrespect. It shows that Manasseh is a badly brought up child. It's so disrespectful. You write about VRA intelligence or foolishness. That means you are not well brought up. He was not well brought up. I'm sorry for him. He was complaining. No, he should read his Bible. If you read your Bible, you won't say these things. I don't know the level of intelligence or foolishness that went into VRA's decisions. The engineers that sit at VRA, do you think you are more sensible than them? You, Manasseh, you think that the engineers at VRA, the management of VRA, the board of directors of VRA, you are more sensible than them. You, Manasseh, you are more sensible than them. I'm not saying they are more sensible than you, but I'm saying that you are also not more sensible than them. You do your work, they do their work. You have to give them the respect. And you can even allege it, but you come and write, I don't know the level of intelligence or foolishness that went into VRA. Who do you think you are to call people at VRA foolish? They have not called you foolish. They have not called anybody foolish. They are doing their work. And then you sit there and say the people at VRA are foolish. Manasseh, he says the people at VRA are foolish. He doesn't know the foolishness in their head. The VRA legal department, VRA engineering department, these VRA people who have held Akosombo forever, generations after generations, they always recruited a top standard. VRA has always demonstrated as one of Ghanaian companies since Kwame Nkrumah's days because of the foundations laid to create this top standard of engineering for us. You, Manasseh Azury, says that VRA people, he doesn't know how the level of intelligence or foolishness that went into the dead. He's questioning the VRA's decision and he's calling it foolish. A decision, in fact, VRA says they have not made. They have not made that decision. They have not given any contract to anybody. And then you sit down and because you have heard, he's just heard it in his ears. These are the things that give journalism a bad name. This is not how journalism is supposed to be practiced. And who do you blame? Professor Kwame Kare. It is him. With much respect to him, Professor Kwame Kare is yet a disappointment. Professor Kwame Kare has done a great job for journalism. Nobody can take that away from him. Professor Kare has done a great job for journalism. Recently, he was the chairman of the board of the Graphic. Fantastic man. But this is work with Manasseh is disappointing. Why do I say that? It's basic and it's fundamental. Manasseh publishes something about Professor Kwame Kare didn't read this language and thought that it was okay. Professor Kwame Kare, I've never heard him use this language before. I've never heard Kwame Kare, Bonakumsin, Odriga Jekpo, P.A.V. Ansan use this kind of crass language in addressing other people. And Kwame Kare supports Manasseh Azury to call the people at VRA foolish. Who does he think he is? This is what I call, once again, the delusions of self-grandeur. He thinks he's some grandiose man. You, the people at VRA, do you know what they know? Do you know what they have learned? Do you know what the processes that you didn't succeed in going through? They went through it, and he knows what I'm talking about. I'll say it again. The processes that you, Manasseh, you didn't succeed in going through, the VRA engineers succeed. That's why they are engineers from VRA. And that's why you went to journalism school, because you didn't cross the line. And you come and sit here and call them foolish. You couldn't even cross the line. So you went to journalism school. And that's the tragedy they've fallen upon us. When you can't cross the line, they say go to journalism school. In England, you have to cross the line better than the engineers to become a journalist. In America, I told you viewers, Google it again. Google all CNN reporters, Anderson Cooper, everybody, you'll find Harvard JD, Harvard JD, Harvard JD. The same Harvard JD people are in America's VRA. The same Harvard JD people are in America's Congress. They're in the House and they're in the Senate. The same Harvard JDs are in the Supreme Court, so that American society is standardized. The journalist is the foundation of society. The journalist is the sounding board of society. The journalist determines how development is going. We say that, no, to be a journalist, lower it. That must change. And if that wasn't there, Manasseh will not be a journalist. He will not be. If that wasn't there, and that is the problem we have had. But he's a great guy. Everybody has potential. Nonetheless, he can still learn. But when he's refusing to learn, we'll point it out to him that he's not doing injustice just to himself. He's doing injustice to the profession, and he's doing injustice to the generations that have to come and try and change the image of Ghanaian journalism. Those generations, he is making their work difficult because of his selfishness and his parochial attitude and his hatred. Hatred shows on people's faces. You see, when you see people who have hatred in them, when you hate, it doesn't affect the person you hate, it affects you yourself. So when you see the people's face, you can tell that there is an unhappy soul. His hatred is full in his heart. He has too much hatred in his heart. So he's an unhappy soul. You can tell it from their image. You can just tell it from their image. How can you call the engineers at VRA? You don't know the level of intelligence or foolishness that went into the VRA decision. Okay, let's put the VRA statement on now. Let's put the VRA statement on. Please get the VRA statement. Just put the VRA statement. So here's the VRA statement. All right, it's as follows. It's a press release. And it's as follows. The attention of the management of the Volta River Authority has been drawn to a story in the electronic media that VRA has contracted Zoomlion to undertake fumigation of areas affected by the controlled spillage from the Akosombo Dam. We wish to state that the VRA has not awarded any contract to Zoomlion for the fumigation of communities impacted by the controlled spillage. VRA acknowledges the assistance being offered by institutions, companies, groups, and individuals, and will continue to work with all stakeholders in our relief efforts for the communities impacted by the controlled spillage from the Akosombo Dam, and is issued by the Corporate Affairs and External Relations Unit. Date October 30. This is VRA speaking, viewers. For those viewers who did not agree with me, this is VRA speaking. They said, and I quote, "We wish to state that VRA has not." So a journalist of the level of Azury says that VRA has, and VRA comes and says we have not. And so tomorrow, when I, as a journalist, says that ECG has awarded a contract to Kofi Bedu, you say Ghanaian journalist again, a Ghanaian journalist, is he sure what he's talking about? You are eroding the credibility of the work as an individual with your parochial selfishness and hatred. Manasseh, put Manasseh's photograph there again.